The company that rejected me now needs my $1 million patent. The rain hammered against the floor-to-ceiling windows of Alexandra's penthouse apartment, mirroring the storm that had been building inside her for the past 3 months. She stood there, holding the official letter from Quantum Tech Corporation in trembling hands, the same company that had dismissed her as not innovative enough during their last round of interviews. The irony wasn't lost on her. They now desperately needed licensing rights to her groundbreaking quantum encryption algorithm, a technology worth millions and capable of revolutionizing data security worldwide. Alexandra's journey began 2 years ago in a cramped studio apartment, where she would work late into the night after her day job at a small cybersecurity firm. Her obsession with quantum mechanics and cryptography had started as a childhood fascination, growing into an all-consuming passion that left little room for anything else. She remembered the countless weekends spent poring over research papers, the sleepless nights debugging code, and the moments of pure elation when complex equations finally aligned perfectly. Quantum Tech's rejection had come at perhaps the lowest point in her career. After months of rigorous interviews and technical assessments, she had believed she had finally found her place among the brightest minds in the industry. Their feedback had cut deep. While Ms. Carter demonstrates impressive theoretical knowledge, we question her ability to innovate beyond established paradigms. Those words had echoed in her mind for weeks, fueling both her determination and her self-doubt. But Alexandra possessed something that standardized tests and interview panels couldn't measure, an unrelenting drive to prove conventional wisdom wrong. In the months following her rejection, she threw herself into developing what would become known as the Carter Protocol. The algorithm combined principles of quantum entanglement with novel cryptographic techniques, creating a system that could theoretically make digital communications completely impervious to interception or decryption. Her breakthrough came one sleepless night while watching the city lights flicker through her window. The solution appeared almost magically, a way to harness quantum superposition states to create dynamic encryption keys that changed faster than any computational system could track. As she scribbled equations across every available surface, she realized she had stumbled upon something truly revolutionary. The development phase proved even more challenging than she had anticipated. Working alone meant shouldering every aspect of the project, from mathematical modeling to software implementation to hardware compatibility testing. Her savings dwindled rapidly as she invested in specialized equipment and cloud computing resources. Friends stopped calling, concerned about her increasingly erratic schedule and single-minded focus. But Alexandra pressed on, driven by the memory of Quantum Tech's dismissal and the vision of proving them wrong. Through an old professor's connection, she secured a small grant from an academic institution interested in quantum research applications. This funding allowed her to rent a modest laboratory space and hire a part-time assistant, Mark Chen, a brilliant but unconventional programmer who shared her passion for pushing technological boundaries. Together, they transformed her theoretical framework into a working prototype that consistently outperformed existing encryption methods by orders of magnitude. The tech community took notice when Alexandra published her initial findings in a respected journal. Industry experts hailed her work as potentially the most significant advancement in data security since public key cryptography. Venture capitalists began reaching out, offering substantial investments in exchange for equity in her nascent company. Yet despite these external validations, Quantum Tech remained conspicuously silent. Their current request, detailed in the letter she still clutched tightly, represented a dramatic reversal. Quantum Tech faced a crisis. Their entire network infrastructure was vulnerable to a new class of quantum attacks that threatened to compromise their clients' sensitive data. Ironically, these were precisely the types of vulnerabilities Alexandra's algorithm had been designed to prevent. Their proposal included not just a substantial licensing fee, but also a seat on their board of directors and complete access to their research facilities. As Alexandra stared out at the rain-soaked city, she reflected on how far she had come from that devastated young woman who had left Quantum Tech's offices 2 years ago. The rejection that had once felt like a professional death sentence had instead become the catalyst for her greatest achievement. Yet the decision before her now carried weight far beyond personal vindication or financial gain. Mark arrived at her apartment, bringing with him fresh coffee and his characteristic irreverent energy. So he began without preamble, "What are you going to do about the corporate behemoth that wants to eat your lunch?" His casual tone masked the complexity of the situation they now faced. They had built something extraordinary together, not just a piece of technology but an entire philosophy about how innovation should challenge rather than conform to established systems. The ethical implications weighed heavily on Alexandra. Quantum Tekka's vulnerability affected not just their corporation but potentially millions of users whose data passed through their networks daily. Could she justify withholding her technology, even from those who had doubted her capabilities? Moreover, how would licensing her patent affect her independence and the integrity of her work? These questions swirled in her mind alongside practical considerations about market positioning, intellectual property rights, and long-term strategic alliances. Her phone buzzed incessantly with messages from industry contacts, potential investors, and journalists eager to cover the unfolding drama. Each notification served as a reminder of the broader implications of her decision. The tech world watched with bated breath, recognizing that this moment represented more than just a business transaction. It symbolized a fundamental shift in how innovation would be valued and rewarded in the industry. As night fell over the city, Alexandra found herself drawn back to her whiteboard, where she had first sketched the foundations of her algorithm. The equations stared back at her, unchanged in their elegant complexity, yet somehow imbued with new meaning in light of recent events. She traced her fingers along the familiar patterns, feeling the weight of responsibility that came with possessing knowledge powerful enough to reshape an entire industry. Mark broke the silence, his voice unusually serious. "You know, Alex, this isn't just about quantum tech anymore. Whatever you decide will set a precedent for how independent innovators navigate corporate interests. You're writing the rules for the next generation of tech pioneers." His words resonated deeply, crystallizing the true scope of the decision before her. When it was her turn to speak, Alexandra launched into a meticulously prepared presentation that transcended mere technical details. She outlined not just the capabilities of the Carter Protocol, but its potential to redefine global cybersecurity standards. Her voice gained strength as she described how the technology could protect vulnerable communities, secure critical infrastructure, and establish new benchmarks for digital trust. The executives exchanged glances, clearly unprepared for this broader vision of technological impact. The negotiations quickly revealed deeper divisions within Quantum Tekka's leadership. Chief Technology Officer Maria Santos openly advocated for immediate integration of the Carter Protocol, emphasizing the urgency of their security crisis. Others, particularly Chief Financial Officer Gregory Park, pushed back against Alexandra's insistence on maintaining oversight and control over implementation. "We need full operational authority," Park argued, his frustration mounting. "Your conditions are unacceptable for a company of our scale." Alexandra responded with clinical precision, presenting case studies of failed technology transfers and botched implementations that had resulted from similar demands for unrestricted control. "This isn't just about protecting my intellectual property," she explained. "It's about ensuring proper deployment. The Carter Protocol requires careful calibration and constant monitoring, aspects that can't be left to chance or corporate convenience." Her arguments were bolstered by data projections showing how rushed implementations could actually increase vulnerabilities rather than eliminate them. The conversation turned contentious when Langley attempted to leverage Quantum Tekka's political connections and government contracts as bargaining chips. "Without our distribution channels, your technology might never reach its full potential," he suggested, his tone carrying hints of the dismissive attitude she had encountered during her interview. Alexandra countered with evidence of alternative partnerships she had secured with international organizations and major tech firms, demonstrating that Quantum Tekka's influence was no longer crucial to her success. What surprised Alexandra most was the emergence of unexpected allies within Quantum Tekka's ranks. Maria Santos privately approached her during a break, expressing genuine admiration for the Carter Protocol's architecture and sharing concerns about the company's historical resistance to radical innovation. Their brief conversation revealed a shared vision for transforming quantum tech from within, though Alexandra remained cautious about trusting these newfound sympathies. As the day wore on, the discussions grew increasingly complex. Legal teams from both sides huddled in separate rooms, drafting and redrafting terms that attempted to balance Alexandra's insistence on maintaining technical oversight with Quantum Tekka's demand for practical implementation control. Every clause sparked debate: royalty structures, usage restrictions, auditing rights, emergency response protocols. The walls of the conference room filled with diagrams and flowcharts mapping out potential collaboration frameworks. A particularly heated exchange erupted when Alexandra presented her plan for a graduated licensing model that would prioritize healthcare, education, and humanitarian organizations before extending to commercial applications. "We can't afford to wait while you play social engineer," snapped Park, slamming his fist on the table. Alexandra met his anger with calm resolve, citing examples where such prioritization had led to more sustainable and socially beneficial technology deployments. The turning point came unexpectedly during a discussion about global security standards. Alexandra proposed establishing an independent advisory board to oversee the protocol's implementation across different regions and industries. To her surprise, several quantum tech executives showed genuine interest in this idea, recognizing how it could enhance their credibility and market position. Even Langley seemed intrigued, though his expression remained guarded. As evening approached, the negotiations reached a critical impasse. Quantum Tech's leadership demanded a decision on their latest offer by midnight, knowing that delay would exacerbate their security vulnerabilities. Alexandra requested time to consult with her team, retreating to a private conference room where she connected with Mark via secure video link. Together, they analyzed the evolving dynamics, weighing the risks and opportunities presented by each concession and counteroffer. The gravity of the situation hit Alexandra with renewed force as she reviewed the day's developments. This wasn't just about negotiating a business deal, it was about setting a precedent for how transformative technologies should be managed and deployed. Every choice she made would ripple through the industry, influencing how future innovations were handled at the intersection of individual creativity and corporate power. Returning to the main conference room, Alexandra found the quantum tech executives engaged in their own tense deliberations. The air hummed with anticipation as she took her seat, preparing to present her final position. The hours ahead would determine not just her professional future, but the very trajectory of quantum security technology's development on a global scale. Yet as she looked around the table, she realized that the most challenging decisions still lay ahead, choices that would test her commitment to her principles and her vision for the role of innovation in society. As the clock ticked closer to midnight, Alexandra found herself grappling with an epiphany that transcended the immediate negotiations. The Carter Protocol represented more than just a technological breakthrough, it embodied a philosophical shift in how innovation should interact with established power structures. Each offer and counteroffer had revealed deeper truths about the systemic challenges facing independent creators in a corporate-dominated landscape. The decision before her now carried implications far beyond personal success or vindication, it spoke to the very nature of progress itself. Quantum Tech's leadership team had begun to show cracks in their united front, with factions emerging that mirrored the broader tensions in the tech industry. Some executives recognized the necessity of embracing disruptive innovation, while others clung to traditional models of control and hierarchy. Alexandra watched these dynamics unfold with growing clarity, understanding that her choices would either reinforce existing power structures or help forge a new paradigm for technological development. The Independent Advisory Board proposal had gained unexpected traction, with several influential figures in the industry expressing interest in participating. This development presented both an opportunity and a dilemma. While such oversight could ensure responsible implementation of her technology, it also risked diluting her direct influence over its evolution. The prospect of sharing control, even with well-intentioned experts, challenged her deeply held beliefs about the relationship between creator and creation. Meanwhile, the international interest in the Carter Protocol had escalated dramatically. Governments and organizations worldwide had begun positioning themselves for potential partnerships, each promising unique advantages in terms of reach, resources, and impact. The Chinese Academy of Sciences had sweetened their offer with promises of unprecedented research freedom, while European Union representatives emphasized their commitment to ethical technology development. These competing interests created a complex web of possibilities that required careful navigation. The human element of the negotiations had become increasingly apparent to Alexandra. Behind every corporate title and institutional affiliation sat individuals grappling with their own ambitions, fears, and aspirations. Maria Santos's quiet support, Richard Langley's calculated maneuvers, even Gregory Park's aggressive posturing, each revealed facets of the broader struggle between innovation and establishment. She found herself empathizing with their positions even as she resisted their demands, recognizing the universal challenge of balancing progress with stability. As the deadline approached, Alexandra's thoughts kept returning to the countless hours spent developing her algorithm, the sacrifices made along the way, and the fundamental question of what success truly meant. Was it measured in financial terms, in widespread adoption, or in the positive change effected? The answer seemed to lie somewhere in the intersection of these metrics, requiring a solution that honored both practical realities and idealistic aspirations. Her team had prepared multiple scenarios, each representing different paths forward. One option involved a limited partnership with quantum tech, while simultaneously pursuing independent implementations through other channels. Another proposed creating a new entity specifically to manage the Carter Protocol's deployment, funded by a consortium of stakeholders. Each possibility came with its own set of risks, rewards, and ethical considerations. The rain had returned, tapping gently against the conference room windows as Alexandra gathered her notes. The quantum tech executives waited expectantly, their expressions ranging from hopeful to resigned. She knew that whatever decision she made would ripple through the industry, affecting not just her future but the futures of countless others who would build upon her work. The weight of this responsibility settled heavily on her shoulders, yet it also filled her with a profound sense of purpose. Looking around the room, Alexandra recognized that this moment represented more than just a business negotiation. It marked a pivotal point in the evolution of technological innovation, where the traditional boundaries between creator and corporation, between individual vision and collective implementation, were being fundamentally redefined. The choices she made in the coming hours would shape not just her destiny but the very landscape of technological progress for generations to come. The clock continued its relentless march toward midnight, each tick echoing in the charged atmosphere of the conference room. Alexandra's mind raced through the myriad possibilities, each path forward branching into countless potential outcomes. The decision before her demanded more than just business acumen or technical expertise. It required a leap of faith into uncharted territory, where the rules of engagement between innovation and industry were still being written.